It's probably hard to imagine now, but back when it came out, New Super Mario Bros. Was actually a pretty big deal. The DS was still early into its lifespan and was going to be the first original 2D Mario in nearly 14 years, the last one being Mario Land 2's 6 Golden Coins. Since then, the side-scrollers had been pretty much stuck in remake territory, and it was perceived as a successor to the Mario Advance series, which, when looking at it, makes a lot of sense. I've always found the title weird though. Putting new in one always makes it age weird. Just look at the early logo for it. Looks like a Flash game. In the time since the game came out, it ended up becoming its own series, becoming a staple of each subsequent system, up until Mario Wonder 17 years later. A lot of people see it as having done a lot of damage to the series for a long time, with each game less impressive than the last. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the main contributors to that Mario Mandate cult that was around for a long time. And sadly, I think it's tainted the image retroactively for what is quite a good game in its own right. It's one I hold very dear, as it was the first Mario game I ever saw, and my only prior acquaintance with him was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and hated him because Sonic was so cool. I love that ding, the coin sound, so nostalgic. The game also introduced Bowser Jr. to the side-scrollers, and they decided to make you fight him 100 times. He's so easy, and honestly, so is the whole game. You're not going to be dying a million times in this. This was a portable game, so it went later on the difficulty. As seen even before the Wii, Nintendo was beginning to make its transition to a more casual audience. This can be seen in the weird decision to basically hide a quarter of the game from them. To even get to play Worlds 4 and 7, you need to beat World 2 and 5's bosses as Mini Mario. It's not too bad, but as a kid it was tough. And these two worlds are where I would say some of the tougher levels in the game are. Into World 1, and you can already see what's a pretty cute world on the map here. It's pretty crazy to me how immediately soulless these became after only the second game in the series, but hey, these things printed money for them, so they just responded by printing them right back. This feels very cozy. I think it has something to do with how big they had to make the other ones feel. It's too open. I think it gives a more hollow feeling, while this one feels like your toy box. It's just like a comfort place. The first level is really easy. They give you way more time than you need, and I like how it also has the Mega Mushroom in it. This thing was all over the advertising. They were really proud of this. I think it helps convey what they were really going for with this game. It's the new Super Mario Bros., not your parents' Mario. It starts so simple and cute, then Mario's a giant, and while I think Mega Mario is cool, the actual execution of this leaves some to be desired. It's basically a mini game for extra lives, but I wish there was more focus on it for use in like bosses. That would have been cool. It can't really do much against them though. I usually skip them, honestly. A bit of a hassle. I'm such a dork. Ooh, I've got to get the star coins. Yeah, this game also introduced the star coins mechanic with 3 per level. You can use them to buy land. Look, that's what he's doing. He's buying the places. He's these toads' landlord. They stop paying, it kicks them out. But yeah, the star coins. They're not all that helpful, honestly, but they help make you explore the levels more. And the levels are so short, it's not that bad to replay them again. Think, portable. They have one other function, but we'll get to that later. Eventually you get to the tower levels. These are alright. At a midway point of each world, there are these mini castle levels that are vertically oriented, and honestly, like, they're okay, but I feel like I'd rather just have a regular level. They're not bad, but I'd never once been excited to get to one. It like looms in the distance on the map, and I'm just thinking, oh cool, that's gonna be mediocre. This game has some really great touches to it though. I love how when you get to the secret exit here, you can see the outside of the tower. It's nice. Or when you use the cannons and you get to see part of the world you're getting launched to in the distance. I like that too, the cannons. This game can be beaten really quickly using them. Again, it feels like a new take on the originals. To get this secret exit, you gotta use Shell Mario, which me and my brother used to always just call Turtle Mario, which is cooler. And also apparently is its name in the Italian version. Shell's too close to Sheldon. Its blue color is probably meant to be a reference to Mario Kart or something, but I always think of Yertle the turtle. This is one of the coolest power-ups in the game. I think really it's the idea of it that's really cool more than its actual like utility. It's one of those ones though when you lose it you're really upset and annoyed. It's so helpful in the water levels. Mini Mario feels a bit like a chore to me, I don't know. The developers seemed all over it though. They give them all these little side stages and stuff, and like I said before, you need it to even access a fifth of the game, but you're so vulnerable. I never really feel like I can enjoy using it. I'm always so stressed out. You can also run on water with it, which is probably its most useful function. The high jumping is cool, but other than sometimes speeding through the stages with it, I don't know, it seems pretty limited in its actual utility. Also, tell me why Mega Mario and Mini Mario got to come back, but Shell Mario is permanently banished to DS Purgatory. It's got a cute little cameo in Bowser's Inside Story, but otherwise AWOL. They always do that, just throw away really cool mechanics after one game. It's cool they always want to try new ideas, but why can they never come back in like a supporting role? Flying Squirrel Mario is dead. The rest of World 1 stages are pretty good, they're solid. 1-4 has this whole cool setup for opening this pipe, but you can just do this. They're all pretty standard. This mushroom level has these spinner springs, and dude, this is like one of my favorite things in the whole game. Just the... It's so much fun. You know, sometimes you just crave playing a certain game mechanic. This is one of those for me. The castle level is fun, I like it. It's pretty by the books, but you get these little ropes, and if you don't keep moving, Mario will fall off of them.
Whoa, what?
I like that a lot, by the way, that they included the voice acting. They initially weren't going to, but decided it brought more life to the game, and I agree. Just listen to Mario, he's so happy. Or in pain. Gives him a lot of personality, and after hearing him talk in so many games since, as remember, no 2D Mario since Land 2, it would have been pretty weird if he was suddenly mute again. The boss is Bowser, and you're supposed to try and jump on him or sneak under him, but I always like to fight him hand to hand with the fireballs. Feels a lot cooler. It's also funny to me how Bowser in this is just like Junior's pet or something. He's totally unintelligible, he's just an ape. When you beat him, what was that about? Like this is important for later, but man, it's so gruesome. It's like your grandma's Mario. World 1 is solid, has all the classic level types, and throws in some new gimmicks. And I don't mean gimmicks in any sort of negative way, they just don't dwell on any of them very long, and I think that's a good thing. World 2 used to be my least favorite world in the game, but coming back to it, I think this is where the game really gets going though. Like, every level has something new and cool to try. I love this level where you're riding this platform with all the flying piranha plants. You get to the end and there's this guy plugging up the pipe and you have to jump on this pump to send him flying. It's such a funny moment and this never comes back. Or in this earlier level where you're in the sewers and has all these little puzzle box rooms. People just forget how much creativity this game had. It really was Mario Wonder before Mario Wonder. I think the actual quality of each level is more open for debate, but they're all trying things and keeping it fresh. You're never getting bored. The levels overall are also much shorter, more like Mario 3, just these short bursts of an idea that ends before it gets stale, most of the time. World 2 is also when the game starts introducing new bosses, only in the final castles of each world, but it's something. Seriously, it's kind of crazy realizing how much adding the Koopalings after this did improve these tower levels. Like, it's not much and is more of a band-aid on the bigger problem, but it was an improvement. I honestly feel like I never even had to think during one of these fights until like World 6 or something. These new bosses are all pretty good. None of them are amazing or anything, but they're decent. They all get cool original character designs, besides World 4's, which is just a giant Goomba. In terms of actual gameplay, they don't bring a whole ton to the table, but they keep you actually focusing. World 6's sucks though, just keeps pushing you, it's really annoying. World 2 also introduces the pipes on the overworld. These seemed so cool to me as a kid, but now they just seem so unnecessary. It's already such a short game and every level is so cool, I'd never want to skip any of them. This used to be my least favorite part of the game because I hate deserts, but coming back to it, this may be one of the best sections of it. World 3 is tropical, and the single biggest praise I can give this game is it didn't make every stage of this world a water level. Despite the normal ones being mostly pretty consistent in quality, almost every water level is as lame and lacks just as much fun as I remember. The movement feels so good the whole time, which makes the slog these levels are just that much more apparent. I feel like a loser trashing underwater levels in current year, but most of them are genuinely some of the worst parts of the game. The control otherwise on land is so smooth it makes you just want to take off blasting through every level. This game was the first to add in the double and triple jumps from the 3D games into the side-scrollers, and it feels great, same with the ground pound and especially wall jumping. I think the game's overall pretty simple visual style helps the player to lock in on the gameplay, as this isn't some showcase piece, it's very tight in that way. It does make me see more now why I found the same style so middling looking on the Wii and Wii U though. They just didn't really expound on it enough. Something this simple works well on a simpler system, and is why I think most tend to find the handheld entries more visually appealing. But that blown up on a huge screen and making the player so small comparatively loses that hyper focus on gameplay this one has. They did end up adding the spin move though for air stalling, which is inarguably one of the greatest additions to the genre for that extra bit of control and specificity with where you land, and I can't lie, it's definitely noticeable here. It can be pretty precise with where it wants you to land, and it can feel a bit awkward trying to make some of those jumps. It can make it tricky, but don't get me wrong, it's still a fairly easy game. Lives are up plenty, and I never even came close to a game over or anything. Especially with the item storage on the bottom screen, which is now even more user-friendly than before. In Mario World, when you got hit, this thing dumped immediately, and was super annoying when you'd miss it if you were in a tough spot. Here, so long as you're not underground, you can use it whenever you want, and it's not like power-ups are rare to come by either. That said though, the game still has its moments of pretty cool platforming challenges. Like in this level back in World 2, where to get this last star coin, you have to bounce off this spinner, already awesome, and line yourself up to bounce off this Koopa to get up onto this ledge. That's Kino, man. The ghost houses in this are not that fun, honestly. I remember as a kid they used to be some of my favorites, but man, coming back to them, these are a chore. Maybe it's just because I'm older now and have less patience, but man, these things are tedious. I didn't have a ton of games growing up, so sometimes I play as Luigi in these and pretend I had Luigi's Mansion. Yeah, depressing memories aside, Luigi is in this game and you can play as him in single player, which is really cool. All these games are called Super Mario Brothers, but you almost never get to play as Luigi in any of them, unless you're doing co-op. You can play as Luigi more often in the games without brothers in the title, ironically. But yeah, it's pretty neat, and on the final screen they tip you off on how to do it. Yeah, that's something. Tell you how to do it after you beat the game. That's cool. And yeah, technically it's a secret. You need to hold down L and R when selecting your file to play as him, but he's on the cover, he's in the intro sometimes. It's not solving the Zodiac case. They don't play any differently, by the way, like in Lost Levels or whatever. Here he's just a reskin, but whatever, Luigi's cool. Playing it now though, I do like playing as Mario, boring as I sound. I like this rendition of Mario, he's a little creature. Honestly, same with Luigi. I think it's because of how distorted they are in the sprites. I'd put them in the same category as these Marios. I want to put them in a little jar of cinnamon and shake it up. The castle is so fun with the ropes and even the water, gives it a sort of dungeon feeling. And as happy as I am to see the thwomps, or womps, who cares, their hit detection is all over the place. Feel like they could have been integrated a bit better than this. I like the boss though, gives you a lot to keep track of with all the other fish around. Underworld 5, I think this may be my favorite world. It's the most nostalgic one to me. I like how these bunches of snow can fall on you, stopping you dead in your tracks. It may be annoying from a gameplay perspective, but I don't know, can't we all just relax? It's cute and has a nice bit of polish. This level also has these bird enemies rolling snowballs. Yeah, this game has a bunch of original enemies that were never seen again. Again, with them having to reinvent the wheel every time for some reason. Yeah, for like the supposed Mario Mandate game, this one has a bunch of enemies that were never seen before or after. Really, it's New Super Mario Bros. Wii's fault, that's the worst one. It's the one that decided every one of these games had to be Mario 3. I always used to think these guys were some kind of mushroom creature, but apparently they're snail corns. I know a lot of people don't like ice physics, but they never really bothered me. Where's your whimsy? This world also has a really similar layout to World 3's. I know it's a portable game and space had to be saved, but maybe you didn't need to put these worlds right next to each other in the order 99% of people played it. I feel like this is where the game starts to rake up a bit and gets a little trickier with the platforming. You get all these changing mushroom platforms and like, it's just so cool even this far into the game, they're still throwing completely new things at the player. It's impressive. This is where I did find the game start to get a bit tiring though, with going for all the star coins and buying all the branching paths. It's around here when I realized this game mostly only has two types of secret exits, and those are the mini mushroom ones and the shell ones. The annoying thing about this is that these aren't the easiest items to come by. You can just go to the toad houses where it's luck of the draw, it's an option. You can also just wait until you naturally get them during play, which is somewhat feasible. They're not the most common even then. So really what you end up doing is a couple of things you know work. For me, I realized World 1-4 has a mini mushroom in it, so I just go get that and clear the level, then sometimes get another one just in case, because like I said before, you can die easily as Mini Mario. It's not the most fun way, but it is the fastest. For the shell, it's a bit more tedious. You go to a level where you know the flying question blocks drop it, go in, exit so they move around until they go where you need them, then go in, see if you get it, and if you do, good. If you don't, repeat. It's monotonous, but there you go. It's not the end of the world, but I could have gone for some more variety, or at least made these items not such a labor to get. PD Piranha is the boss here, which is cool, surprisingly easy. The bosses would probably be a bit more engaging if they didn't do the exact same thing 3 times with no variation. I get it's the standard for a Mario game, but they don't even like get angry or something for their last cycle. The Koopa army's morale must be low or something. World 6 is just sort of the whatever world. It has a cool mountainous theme, but its actual level makeup is all over the place. There's very little cohesion here, only 3 out of the 11 levels even use it. The ones that do have a lot of cool wall climbing segments. I love these, it's like the cousin of the great climbing mechanic. It's a lot of fun to move around like this and changes the player's understanding of their surroundings in a cool way. But this world has a jungle, a beach, a desert, an ocean, Iceland. It's something to behold. According to development stuff, it seems like there was some late world shuffling, so I assume this is partly because of that. It was also originally going to be some sort of machine world, so maybe it was meant to be like reproducing other worlds or something. This is also the world I mentioned earlier with the boss that sucks, by the way. I like in 6-3 you have to use the Mega Mushroom to knock down these pipes for this star coin. It's an example of how the power-ups could have been used in cool ways. I know you can get this one without it, but that's clearly what the devs wanted you to do, and in order to do so you have to actually bring a Mega Mushroom inside the level, so it utilizes the item storage mechanics in an interesting way as well. World 6 brings even more new ideas to the table though, and a lot of them, but it just feels like a bunch of levels taped together in a game full of worlds that feel so intricately laid out. Like, in World 1 you start in the plains outside the castle, right? And come to this destroyed bridge eventually leading into 1-2. There's more grasslands that leads up to the higher mountain ranges, appropriately mushrooms, or even into lakes. In World 5 you start in the snowy woods that leads into icy caves and the mountain ranges before you stop in an old mansion to warm up a la The Shining. They tell stories that feel planned out. What's 6's story? You head into the mountains then go on a world tour. It's a mess, but the levels themselves are still pretty good. It's just a shame because the mountain set ones are all such good and comfy levels. I'd love if they just gotten a little bit more time to shine. Haven't said a ton about it yet, but I really dig this game's art style. I love the little dances everything does. I know it ended up becoming a meme for a while, but for good reason. It's a really memorable part of the game and the music is so good. It also adds that extra layer of timing when approaching certain enemies. But yeah, the style is nice and poppy. It eventually became just a bunch of tile sets from overexposure, but initially it did breathe some fresh air into those even then tired landscapes. Mario games weren't often about their art direction. They like to keep things really simple with the occasional flourishes. Mario World again was probably the most detailed we ever saw them get, and even then it was still pretty reeled back, just some simple shapes and solid colors. Not to say it looked bad by any means, it just wasn't the priority. The first and foremost concern was the gameplay. This was really the first time we saw a new entry in the series try a bit harder with like texturing and stuff. It's still simple, but it's got something that feels a bit more worldly about it. It's a bit hard to describe, there's some more detail. And it sort of wraps back around to how I wish the mountain setting was used a bit more. Has a good atmosphere to it that I would have liked to have experienced more. Maybe that's a sign of good restraint though. The whole game feels very quaint, even for this series, and going back to it, I think it has a lot to do with how compact the world maps are. They're so busy, every world feels like a little town or diorama you're traveling through. So backtracking now, let's look at worlds 4 and 7. Going to look at them sort of jointly since they are like the lost worlds. World 4 is a jungle and is pretty cut off from the casual players getting to it without honing their skills for good reason. It's challenging, but for annoying reasons. Death water and stuff that flings you. Its levels are a bit hit and miss. Looking back, it was quite refreshing to just sort of get kicked in the teeth by one of these games. World 7 on the other hand might be my new favorite world now with my nostalgia glasses off. It's a staple world where you need to find the secret exits to move on or you wrap in circles. I just like how much it has you running all over the place. It even has the one fun ghost house in the game where you're just going through all these doors in a hub. I feel like for a game like this, that's the best way to handle these. These are all about simplicity, so it helps keep things moving. And like, I know I keep bringing up the star coins, but it's so funny to me how like 95% of them are just super easy out in the open to get. Maybe you need to find the occasional well-hidden pipe or something, but then there's this one at the end of the castle. This one is evil. It makes you go, oh shoot, there it is, and gives you like 3 seconds to figure out what to do before the platform starts falling. So your first instinct is probably, gotta write it down, then it's not. So you try again and think maybe wall jumping, and it's not, until you look up a video to see you're supposed to do this super awkward run off the back and then get caught by the falling part, collect the coin, and have like a third of a second to jump before you run right off of it. I honestly respect the gall of the developers to put this in this otherwise pretty straightforward game. It's like they knew they could push the player to the mechanics limits if they wanted to, but didn't. So they just let you enjoy the pleasant ride up until this moment where they just decide to remind you they run the show around here. Anyway, boss is a joke. Cool design though. World 8 is Halloween themed, I guess, and houses the exact level where you can see the designers just threw one together. Like really, look at this, it's a mess. I've seen this called one of the hardest levels in the game, but it's just because of all the enemies they stuck wherever there was space. Even the level structure feels really sloppy, it's just a bunch of moving platforms. It feels amateurish, which I feel sort of bad saying, but it's a real standout poor level among so many good ones. Like, look at this section towards the end, where they give you a star. Everything feels wrong about the way this looks. I can't believe they let this stay the way it is. Besides that one though, it's a pretty good world, and has my favorite water level in the game. This one is fun too, where you're running from Eel 64. Yeah, this game has a lot of Mario 64 stuff in it. It seems like they reused a lot of assets from the DS version, including many of the minigames. Yeah, they have these too. Look at all these characters not in the game. Most of these are okay, but it still feels like there are really only a couple of standout ones, and that's about it. I really enjoy the Wanted one, but I think everyone agrees that Luigi's Casino games were the best part of this mode. I'm not sure why they even included these in this game. It's not like friends were gathering around playing these in a party mode or something. The quality isn't hurt or anything by them being here, but it just seems sort of pointless. This game isn't super long, but it does have a lot of content in it, especially for a DS platformer. The other mode this game has is Mario vs. Luigi, this little competitive side thing where you play against someone to collect the most stars, again obviously taking from 64DS. It can be fun and was a good addition, but it does make me wish there was just a proper co-op mode though. Back during 64's development, the original one, they had to cut co-op because it couldn't really work that well on a single screen, but this system honestly seemed made just to do this very thing. You wouldn't have the camera issues since people would be playing on their own systems, and it would have been cool. They eventually did do a proper co-op mode down the line and even became sort of the way to play these games, but it kind of sort of sucks. Wii was clearly not designed with it in mind, so it's just a mess, but the Wii U game figured out a good enough balance. It wasn't until New Super Mario Bros. 2 when they finally did it the way it should have been from the beginning. There's actually an online version of this mode someone made, which is pretty cool, though I don't know if I like it that much. At the World 8 castle, the boss is Bowser's bones that come back to life and gave way to one of the coolest characters in the Mario franchise, Dry Bowser. The boss fight is mind-numbingly easy though. All the bosses have good ideas, but none of them ever push you all that much. Again, targeting the casual players, and it makes for a really anticlimactic fight at the end of the world. You never really get that heart-racing feeling in those big halls before them that are meant to build tension. Luckily, that's not the real end though, as it's revealed there's a whole additional half to this world with a more traditional lava theme. It's pretty obvious they were going to do something like this with how short World 8 initially is, but at the time it was a cool novelty. World 8.5 is great too. Almost every level in it is one of the best in the game, I think. I love this one with the chains, and this one where you're racing an erupting volcano. This one sucks though. While in the latter half of the game, the star coins have become a bit more tricky to collect, this one is the worst in the game. It's the second one in the third to last level. You've got to wait for these volcanic debris to destroy these blocks so you can get in as Mini Mario. It has this cute little maze where you get the coin and then you move on and finish the level. Doesn't sound so bad, but whoever designed this level is a sadist and made it so you could only get the coin after you passed the checkpoint, meaning you had to do it all in one run. This wouldn't be so bad if there was a mini mushroom somewhere in the level, but there isn't, so you're bringing one in and every time you die you have to go get another. It's weird they made the item storage function from World more user-friendly, but didn't do the same for the levels. In World you could go into a level you'd already beaten, get some items, then quit out of it and keep them. Here that's not the case, you have to finish the level or the game takes them back. This level really isn't that bad, but when you can't get hit a single time, it's challenging, and this is easily the coin I spent the most time trying to get. That said though, it's one outlier coin in the game where they're mostly pretty easy to find. The last level might be my favorite one in the whole game, and in my opinion is one of the best final levels in a 2D Mario. You have all these switches changing the gravity, the traditional castle look, and this section at the end where you have to do one last little maze. It's not super long, but I think it's just the right length in a game full of really short levels. And honestly, I don't know if I think any of the other final levels in the new series ever reached the same quality as this one. They all feel really gimmicky and not in a good way like this one, or most of the levels in this game. The first time they did this, there was something really special about it, and it did feel like the start of something fresh, but I think they may have taken away the wrong lessons from this one's success. Like they saw people love this one and thought, oh, so people love how new it looks, and not how refreshing it felt after such a drought of wholly original games. The final boss has Bowser Jr. doing black magic to bring his dad back to life, and you fight both of them at the same time. Again, I always prefer fighting with fireballs. It's not a bad idea or anything, but it's still really easy, especially for the last fight of the game. Bowser shoots more fire, but you're never really all that pressed, again, especially since you can bring an extra item. The ending also leaves a lot to be desired. Peach gives Mario a peck and that's it. Credits. You don't even see them walk home or anything. Mario games often get a lot of flack for their stories, but I don't think that's the problem. The plots are. The stories, the journey getting to the plot points, are pretty good, especially in this one. Every level is just bursting with personality, but the plot never really goes anywhere, and it's unfortunately a really weak ending to a pretty good game. Even Mario 3 made that last moment feel more special 17 years before this. There's actually a little bit of a post-game, with this Toad House showing up after you beat the game. Just a place to spend your star coins for these little wallpapers on the bottom screen. Pretty lame for how much work that takes. Again though, I think this is a matter of them more appealing to the casual, so they didn't want to make it something really cool that most people would miss out on, but this is still pretty underwhelming. You get this all spent mark in the bottom left now though. On the file select screen, you also get these little stars next to the completed files, one for beating the game, one for finding all the secret exits, and one for spending all the star coins. Yeah, none of that get to the top of every flagpole nonsense the later games introduced, such a headache. The later games made it so these would unlock levels in a World 9 and offer some extra challenge, but this is here. Wish they made viewing the ones you still need to get a bit easier. Adding a menu for this seems like such an obvious option. You get these little completed watermarks when you have them all in a world, but the only way to see the specific ones you're missing is to run through the world checking each level like a jerk. Oh, and for beating the game, you also get the ability to save wherever you want to. Bit late for that to be useful. Oh, the last thing I should mention is the secret challenge mode. If you put in LRLRXXYY on the pause screen, you'll activate hard mode, where you can't scroll the screen back a la Mario 1. It clearly wasn't tested all that thoroughly though, as it can cause several glitches. I don't know how you're supposed to figure out this even exists, but whatever, it's not really that fun anyway. The later games went on to improve on all the side and post content. The challenge mode for Mario U comes to mind. They made other improvements too, but a lot of people hate these things, but I've always found them inoffensive, though I'd say the first one is the only entry I'd really consider pretty good. People just got tired of them and thought this was the end all for 2D Mario, but I was never under that impression. It took way too long for them to rise out of this sort of stagnation, but it's not like the games were ever bad. They all did some creative things and had good qualities. It almost seems like people really were just tired of seeing these assets, which I can't blame them, they did get pretty bland. It never seemed the gameplay was the issue though, which is why I think these routinely still became the bestsellers for their respective systems. People have praised Wonder nonstop since it came out, but a lot of what's good about it has its roots here, and I just wish these games were remembered a bit more fondly for what they did bring to the series. These are always seen as the lazy assembly line Marios, but this one has a lot of love put into it, even though it's far from perfect.